Good morning, everyone. It is a true pleasure to be here today, the fourth day of an amazing conference. Many congratulations to Nikos and everybody else, not least for being in Technopolis, next to the Parthenon, in the city that started many of the sciences, as well as put the foundations of democracy and public discourse, which is what we want to do here today, in what we hope will be a helpful and exciting panel on visionary leadership in pharma. What Athens reminds us is that what we do at any point in time builds the foundation for sustained change, or can build the foundations for sustained change, in the wrong way or in the right way. So in healthcare currently, we are at a crossroads. We are facing a volatile ecosystem. Somebody in the panel introduced the concept of VUCA. I'm not going to dwell there, but we're seeing unprecedented level of scientific innovation that promises to change the way we practice medicine forever. We see adoption and affordability challenges and a decline in trust. So a lot of opportunity challenge. I've had in my career the opportunity to see a lot of these challenges, bridging business in pharma, regulatory innovation, investment strategy. And one thing that I found is common is that the pace of science always goes ahead the ability of the systems to adopt and do justice. And this makes leadership more important than ever because it's a key way to drive impact by combining talent, bridging cultures, bridging stakeholders, delivering new types of incentives that we need because patients cannot wait. And I'm really, really thrilled to be joined here today by a panel of amazing women leaders. I have Labrina Barmpetaki from Amgen, Ioanna Koukli, AbbVie, sorry. Yes, stage fright. Cross that off the record, please. Ioanna Koukli and Vassia Tegoulia from BioMarin. And I'm really thrilled to discuss with you today not just how you overcome these challenges as leaders in your organizations, but how you're shaping the future of healthcare. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it and talk about today's challenges. What are the ways that you're going about redefining the healthcare paradigm from your respective angles, ecosystems, and organizations? So pick up your mix, don't be shy. Just randomly, to have a method in the madness, I'll start from the other end. Vassia, would you like to start?
So good morning, everyone, and I'm very happy to be here and share some of my personal perspective with all of you. I think I want to speak more about the drug development challenges and the fact that pharmaceutical companies and biotech is not how it used to be 20 years ago. We are in a transformative era. We are in an era with a lot of competition. The drug targets are not as many as they used to be. At the same time, we are also observing new centers of innovation that 10, 20 years ago we weren't aware. And we see breakthrough innovation coming out of places like India, like China. And basically that means that the existing players need to up their game to be able to compete and maintain their position. And we have to be honest that in the past couple of years since the pandemic, there's been a significant lack of funding for some of the biotech areas. If you compare the S&P index versus the biotech index, you're going to see that it's lagging almost 43% behind in the past 2 years. So quite a few challenges, and that's why we need to address things differently. So I'm coming from the CMC, from the drug development area. So what I would like to advocate is for some new and agile methods of drug development throughout the process that's going to help with the compressed product life cycle, as well as some of the economic challenges that a lot of the pharma companies are facing due to patent cliffs and the lack of exclusivity that's hitting, especially for the biological products. In addition, we have AI, we have digital transformation. You're going to hear a lot about digital transformation in every pharma company you're going to be in. And how can we get AI to become not only a productivity enhancement tool, but a way to, a driving engine to generate further innovation and propel our industry further ahead. And then we also need to find some ways to send back capital into especially the biotech and the smaller companies that some of them are currently struggling of maintaining products in their pipeline. So these are some of the topics that I would like to bring to this panel.
Perfect, thank you. Vassia, I may be not hearing well from my angle, but if you can speak up a little bit.
Yeah, can you hear me better, or were you able to follow me? I mean,
I didn't want to stop you.
No,
I'm sure
sorry.
they heard you, but for going on. Ioanna, can I pass on to you?
Yes, thank you. Thank you first of all for the invitation to participate in this panel. Looking ahead, I see 4 powerful shifts in healthcare. The first 3 are technological mainly. We are moving from molecules to modalities. Advanced therapies like cell and gene therapy, RNA, immuno-oncology are really, I believe, they're really rewriting what medicine can achieve. Second is, of course, the digital convergence. Nowadays, AI is not just a tool for efficiency, but it's also becoming very central in how we design drugs and conduct clinical trials. Digital transformation also includes e-healthcare records, wearables, telemedicines, a number, let's say, of technologies that enable care being more personalized and also be preventive and predictive and preventive. I'd like here to mention that at the Hellenic BioCluster, we do support this kind of capabilities. However, what is needed for the Greek reality is robust digital infrastructures, interoperability, as well as strong data governance. A third shift that I see, and I believe that we all agree, is the patient's empowerment. Patients are no longer just passive recipients of treatment, but they are partners on how we design, evaluate, and even prioritize innovation. And here I would like to add a 4th layer. This is what I'm doing at HBio, the integration of ecosystems. If innovation happens in silos, academic labs here, startups there, pharma biotech on another side, then I'm afraid that we risk in slowing down progress. So to me, the real healthcare paradigm is when these elements come together, create translational bridges so that really science moves more quickly and more efficiently from bench to bedside. And at HBio, in our work in HBio, this is actually what we're working on. We are trying to ensure that the countries like Greece, with a very strong scientific talent, however limited, traditionally limited at scale, can connect to the global innovation cycle. We perform this, we support this by implementing a range of activities. For instance, by participating in renowned biotech forums, such as BioEurope and Swiss Biotech, by collaborating with European clusters through funded European programs. We also organize business missions to innovation hubs like Switzerland and Belgium, and of course, organizing our own international event that we are trying to model it on leading European events. So, in concluding, to my opinion, for me, the next healthcare paradigms are not only technological, of course they're technological, but also organizational.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ioanna, for the rich insights you've provided. And Labrina.
Thank you, Magda. I don't know if can you hear me?
Try doing the same. Turn it on and off and on.
Let's change. Adaptability is one of the themes that I wanted to bring anyways, right? So good morning from my side as well. Let me introduce myself, first of all, as a double hat person today. I'm Labrina Barmpetaki. I'm the managing director of AbbVie for Greece, Cyprus, and Malta. But at the same time, I'm the president of the Pharma Innovation Forum in Greece, an association that unites the 30 biggest companies that actually are operating in pharma and biotech. And our essence is innovation. Our essence is to see how we can bring this innovation for patients in Greece. So if I conclude after hearing also what Vassia and Ioanna said, for me, I have 3 challenges here. And not only in Greece, actually. I think they're everywhere. But I will tell you a little bit how I see it. I think the 3 words that I would use is lack of predictability, and question mark on affordability of systems and sustainability, and that's my challenge. First of all, let me start with predictability. We live in an environment that everything that happens across the Atlantic, with also policies on pricing and access and funding of innovation, it's not going to stay there, but it's also going to influence the way we see things in Europe. Let's also pass to the European front. We have the revision of the legislation of pharmaceutical policy in Europe, at the same time that in Greece, we're operating in a post-crisis, economic crisis environment, but still keeping reflexes as the rebates and clawbacks and paybacks still on, and exceeding levels like 75 or 80%. So imagine that in that environment, predictability is really key. How can we operate in an environment that we don't know what is going to happen in the next 5 years and 10 years? All this amazing technological and scientific innovation, how can we actually make sure that it reaches the patients? Because it's not about only the drug, it's the services, it's the data, and it's to make sure that the right therapy goes to the right patient at the right time. So that brings me to the affordability question. We see also, not only in Greece, but in Europe, cost containment measures threatening access of patients. We see that actually budgets of healthcare are cut in the context of also regulation of Europe's spendings, but that also has tremendous and detrimental effects on healthcare and access to healthcare for patients. And of course, that brings the question of sustainability. In this environment, how can we make sure that clinical research and development and also the investment in data and technologies like AI is going to be reaching patients and services in Greece? So our work is to actually make sure, and that's my priority, to turn it around, that the policies are also going to influence positively innovation, funding, access, and also services that will help patients in Greece. And that's the main part, and that's how I see our work in AbbVie, but also in Pharma Innovation Forum.
I'll steal your microphone. Thank you so much. And there is a reason that we took it that way. A key characteristic of the leader is that the title alone is not enough. You have the titles, but I'm pretty sure now you're pretty comfortable with the many hats and the many challenges that these women in top-notch leadership are facing and are driving. The second take-home message is, as I said at the beginning, science alone is not enough to deliver patient outcomes. The system must be ready to absorb it, and that takes a village. So that makes visionary leadership a key lever of progress going forward, because the decisions of visionary leaders echo the desires of patients, build better ecosystems, and improve healthcare for the generations to come. And that takes me to my second question, which is, from your standing point, from your daily life, what does a visionary leader look like in practice? And I'll mix the order again. Ioanna, can I start with you?
Okay, for me, visionary leadership is not about a heroic individual or predicting which the technology will dominate next. It's about creating the conditions, the environment where innovation can thrive. That means convening science, policy, and investor around the same mission. That means creating trust with regulators, with patients, with the society. It also means that we know from the start and we acknowledge the value and outcomes of the innovation. And of course, we try not these breakthroughs stay trapped in the lab, but can become affordable to the public, sustainable, and at scale. A very striking example that I would like to share with you, according to my opinion, is the rapid development of the mRNA technology in multiple therapeutic areas beyond vaccines. The platform pivot from the infectious diseases to oncology and rare diseases required cross-sectoral collaboration, regulatory agility, and visionary investment. So this is really very important because the visionary investment at that time showed how you can nurture a technology and guide it from an idea to a real life-changing reality. In my own words at HBio, it's less about top-down making decision process, but it's about more about ecosystem, I would say, stewardship, aligning investors, aligning researchers first, entrepreneurs and investors to collaborate and so secure that the innovation does not remain fragmented. So this is my opinion in this, and I'm taking the example from HBio, but it's the same way that I'm thinking also as leading my company as well.
Thank you very much, Ioanna.
I can go next, that's okay. I mean, you've mentioned VUCA, and we had that discussion before the meeting. How many of you here knows what VUCA means or has heard the word before? VUCA, yes. Okay. It's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And that's basically our world. And it's the world not only in pharma, but in general. So for me, a visionary leader is somebody who can navigate this world, who can look and see what's happening and is able to be resilient enough to survive this complete change. Also, for me, a visionary leader is a leader who understands that one of the biggest assets is, maybe the biggest asset, are the people in the organization, because one person is not enough. The people are the ones who are going to bring the change, bring on the innovation. In my previous company, we used to have a saying that says our biggest asset walks out of here every day in sneakers. And that meant basically the scientists, the engineers, the employees who were getting the company to run. As a visionary leader, you need to value things like diversity and inclusion and not think that diversity is a checkbox exercise. This is the person who understands the value of different opinions and bringing different opinions on the table, is the person who thinks that this is not a thing to do, but it's a core strategy to be able to bring the right people, the people with different experiences from maybe different universities, different part of the world, and also enable this to happen by creating some interview panels that are unbiased, interview processes that are unbiased. And then that's the first step. And once you find these people, the people that can bring the different opinions, the different experiences, then how do you keep them in the company? How do you grow and how do you develop them? Because they need to be included, they need to feel the sense of belonging once they join the organization. That's how they're going to make the best job, they're going to bring the best ideas. They need to be psychologically safe, they need to trust you. And these are all the things that a great leader inspire. Also, there's a lot of fear out there about failure. A visionary leader is somebody who has realized that failure is part of life, no one likes it, but no one can be 100% successful. I personally like a quote that Nelson Mandela is attributed to him, and he basically says, I don't lose, either I win or I learn. And that's kind of the growth mentality that the current leaders and the visionary leaders can bring in the workplace, because that's how they can move forward, especially when we're looking at the innovation. So we look for somebody who values diversity and inclusion, especially in biopharma, because if you think about the people that we serve and all of our patients, think about how diverse those patient population is. So you need to have people in your leadership team, in your company, who understand how a person will take your medicine or what are the challenges that they may have. And goes ahead, is resilient, and brings the right people to do the job.
So I couldn't agree more. I mean, I really love what Ioanna and Vassia said. I would add a little bit to what we're discussing a lot in Pharma Innovation Forum, but also in AbbVie. I think for me, in order to face these challenges that we're talking about, a visionary leader is the one that can unite people around the purpose. So I strongly believe in purposeful leadership. The fact that we are something more than our jobs, that we wake up every day for a higher purpose. And it's not by accident that many times we put in the center of the discussion the patient. Because I want people to know, to have the picture of a patient that is expecting a therapy, a service, that they're waiting for hope. And many times we have this, not to tick the box, as Vassia said, in order to invite them and hear them, but just to have in mind that there's something more. And purposeful leadership can unite teams. Purposeful leadership can overcome obstacles. Purposeful leadership, in my opinion, is something that you can say that every day I'm coming for something better and I'm trying to make possibilities real. On a second level, I will borrow something that we discuss in AbbVie a lot, so I'll tell you our motto from this year's discussions with the leaders. We say that yes, it's not easy out there, right? We have a lot of challenges, but what we strongly believe is that, and we say it, we have used it a lot in phrases, we say, it's not going to get easier. We are going to get better. And that's very, very much in tandem with the growth mentality that Vassia talked about. It's not going to get easier at the market. The payers are not going to get easier. The regulators are going to be tougher. Yes, yes. But instead of hoping or diminishing that back in the old days, 10 years ago, the old pharma, or all of these myths and legends that sometimes I hear still, is to say, guys, let's focus on the now and how we can become better. In other words, what capabilities do we need? What mirroring of this challenge can we learn from and become better the next time? How can we enhance, to Ioanna's point, a dialogue and bring these people with us instead of saying, oh, he cannot hear me or she doesn't agree with me. So let's turn it around. So I strongly believe that's my second point, my second thought on this. And I think, in conclusion, the third thing that I would like to also say is that, and I always invite people in AbbVie and my teams to do that, is to say, we don't follow, we shape. I don't want people who follow, who run behind, who say, well, let's adapt. Adaptation is good, don't get me wrong. Even better is when you shape the discussion. In Pharma Innovation Forum, that's our motto also. And with the whole BOD, with all the companies, we try, and with Yannis Kotsiopoulos, we try to shape public dialogue. Of course, there's a lot of things out there, right? And I told you before, US, European trends. But I don't see Greece as the old, let's say, small nation that we cannot do anything. I don't see myself as one company or 30 companies, but what power do we have? Let's try to shape the dialogue. Let's try to say, how can we become, in this environment, more competitive as a country? And I mean, we have opportunities. And if you try to shape, you'll find them. So it's about changing shifting the mentality. Moving away from the complaining, reminiscing old times, comparing to the past, and moving to a growth mindset to say, we are becoming better, we're shaping. And actually, in order to do that, maybe just a point for all of us as leaders that sometimes I'm also putting my own self, as I'm doing my own, let's say, reflection, also celebrate the small wins. I know it sounds cliche, everybody's saying that. But in that world that things are getting tougher and we're asking more of people and we're asking continuous and improving engagement, don't forget to celebrate. Sometimes we do it we don't do it enough, I feel, right? Even if it's like we want 2 weeks' time in this protocol, right? We accelerated the study by that. That things, all of them add up. So I would say, and that's one reflection I would like to leave us with, celebrate the small wins. Because the total of small things, actually, those were the big things. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Labrina, for sharing the microphone with me as well. So it's a little bit different, this session, from the sessions that we've had so far. We talked about innovators, we talked about the entrepreneurial teams, IP, funders, and now we're giving, I think, the world a reality check from the big players at the end of the critical path and of the value chain. And one thing that's coming across from the wealth of the experiences that you bring is agility, is purpose, the ability to shape systems, the ability to cross silos, and to think about your people as well. It's not easy to advertise the role of a leader, holding some stereotypical thoughts around it. But leadership is not something, it's not a bragging right, it's a heavy responsibility, and especially for healthcare, going back to the scientists, to the innovators, it's about the ability to continue breeding talent. That's the only way that we continue to innovate and bring solutions to patients. So a leader should not just accumulate influence, but be humble enough to create the conditions for the next generation of leaders. That's a really big challenge. That's a really big mind shift for many leaders now as well. Going closer to our audience, what are some other challenges that you are having to address in your daily practice that you'd like to share? And just to leave like 8-7 minutes for discussion, I'll ask you to do it pretty quickly. Focus on the biggest challenge that is making a difference for you as leaders. And can you keep the floor? Okay, and we'll go the other way.
Thank you, Magda. I think in that environment that we're describing, my biggest challenges for me is like, of course, a leader has a heavy responsibility, right? You said it. Is to say that I have the organization that it's ready and let's say every time, in order to do what I said before, that we shape, we don't follow, is to make sure that the capabilities also and the team structure and organization go along. It's not easy. To give you an example, some years before, we didn't have teams that were looking at access or reimbursement more than just somebody that was filing the prices and more or less doing the job. Now this is becoming my biggest department in the sense of capabilities, to be able to speak to regulators, to put together cost effectiveness or budget impact models, to have the data, the science, but also the aptitude to bring this dialogue. So I need to continuously look at my organization and see what skills, what capabilities. In AbbVie, we have patented this. We call it future fit. And it's not by accident. We need to look externally what is happening and then adapt internally our capabilities, skills, and processes. That's the one. The second, you mentioned it, is the need to endorse fresh talent that comes from different perspectives. And sometimes in pharma, we have this problem, right? We all have completed scientific schools mostly. So I look at people that, in the end of the day, I don't want copy-paste. I don't want people who have done the same schools, the same companies, the same experiences, and then it's magically, we're waiting for freshness to come. Where is this freshness going to come from if we all have the same profiles? So I'm trying to do some, let's say, experiments and go out of the box and bring people from other industries, financial services, FMCG, because we need the related worlds. We need to also be inspired. In PIF, our general manager, Yannis Kotsiopoulos, he has come from politics. And it was important and a turning point for us because he helped us see how the politicians see in their budgets and in their timing our challenges. So this is very, very important. And I'll close in order to give the floor to the other speakers, that I totally agree with Vassia. Inclusion and diversity is key. We spoke about the diversity of talents, but also inclusion is to help the next generation talents. We have forums that speak about the next generation and how they have a voice. I don't want not to hear them just before they become managers. So I'm giving voice to young people in my company, the Generation Z, because I want from the beginning that they're heard, that they bring this freshness, and that we don't just shape them how we want them. I want to hear them, and that's the one. But also very much about, we are a panel of women leaders, so women empowerment for me is one thing that I closely have on my heart. So not to say what is missing, but how can we become better as women, as leaders? These are some examples.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Labrina. I'll just ask you to keep it slightly under 2 minutes, because, yes, there's wealth to squeeze out here. I'm very sorry to ask that, but we would like to hear from the audience. So,
Okay.
do your best.
All right.
Agility.
I'll do my best. Okay, we all face barriers, rise in development costs, regulatory complexity, and gaps in professional experience. But these may become catalysts for innovation. This is my point of view. Cost pressures, for instance, drive us to rethink about value and explore outcomes-based pricing. Regulatory hurdles, when approached proactively, create opportunities to co-design, develop more adaptive frameworks with regulators. Experience shortages, actually, I would say this is the most pressing issue for Greece. For example, it's very difficult to find professionals with the required experience to meet the demanding of the evolving research landscape, like clinical research associates or specialists in biotechnology operations. But this challenge makes us to develop training programs, strengthen collaborations with academia, or develop career paths that can attract and retain top talent. Another example is that, as I mentioned earlier, Greece is small at scale, but this force us to be creative. We cannot afford to duplicate, so we collaborate. We cannot rely upon local capital, so we partner internationally. So this, I believe, this is very important for a leader to be able to have, to change, to reframe a challenge into an opportunity.
Brilliant. Pearls of wisdom. Thank you so much, Ioanna. And last but not least, Vassia.
And that's okay. I'm gonna try to be very brief. I liked everything that Labrina and Ioanna said. I mean, this is some of the main things that we as leaders wake up and, go to bed every night thinking. I mean, I read somewhere that, leader deals with people, managers deals with things, and people are, as I said, also is the most important asset. So answering one of the challenges for me is predicting the capabilities that you need and make sure that you have the talent to achieve what needs to be achieved, and preparing the next generation of leaders. As I grew in my career, one of the questions I kept getting during interviews was, okay, tell me who are the leaders that you've developed, because that's an expectation for a leader. So we're here to mentor, to coach, to help people, to establish the trust. And basically what I tell my people is, I'm here to remove obstacles for you. I mean, I've been through some of this. I don't have all the answers, but I can try to help you. And also something that I recently read as well, the leader speaks last. You allow everybody the space to offer their opinion and their thoughts, and you don't bias anyone. So that's what I'm going to.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Vassia. You're all women of my heart, but this touched me specifically. There are 2 books or podcasts, articles that you can look at. The leader eats last, which is even in the rewarding sense, and the listening leader, the leader that grows, the leader that learns. And I think Steve Jobs used to say, we hire brilliant people only to tell them what we want them to do, which is the wrong way around. We had a quick fire session planned where we had scratched our heads to come up with quotes, but I'm sacrificing this in the interest of questions, if you permit me. So I hope you have questions for us, and I will thus give the floor. I think we owe you a microphone as well, in case you want to move around, for questions. Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you very much for this very interesting discussion. We lately observed this trend of medicines as a service. Since it's a day dedicated to AI and digital health today, there was, I think, recently a partnership between Novo Nordisk and Noom, which is a weight control digital health application. So my question is, how do you considered that this would shape Big Pharma's strategies and particularly partnership strategies in the future?
Hello, thank you for the question. I think you nailed it because I believe that in the future of pharma, they will be all about partnerships. In the sense of what we were discussing before, it's more than the pill, first of all, more than the pill in a schematic sense. It's more than the drug per se. It's about targeting the right population. It's about providing the services that make sure that compliance-wise, the right patient will take it and it will have the benefit and the efficacy it promises. And it's also about collecting data that helps our dialogue with the payers, with the regulators to say, actually, this investment that you made was an investment for life because it improved quality of life, and it was also an investment because it saved resources from other parts of the healthcare system. So if we put this as a frame of the holy grail of pharma in the next day, it cannot be done without partnerships. Because in our essence, we are scientists, we study mechanism of action, and we try to make other classes of therapies more affordable, but we have a whole world out there that is looking at technology, data, applications, and also that is helping us make sure that this data from patients actually is used for the good cause, to promote the science and to make sure that not only the drug and the therapy arrived, but it also that it had the effect and the impact that it promised. If we make this circle, this is the virtuous circle of pharma. So yes, we have a lot of these partnerships actually. All of big pharma companies are looking at partnerships like that with startups or with more established technological players. And in my opinion, this will be the future. You see that also in Greece, and in order, we usually say the bad things that are missing from policy, but let's say also that there is a lot of discussion about how data and the ministries, apart from the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Digital Governance is also going to help us bring this data and technology and together with the Ministry of Development closer to the patient. So that would be also my wish for Greece.
If I may add something, I mean, another trend that we're observing is...
Can we take one more question?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, because we'll run out of time. So, Mike.
My question is about cultural differences in leadership. Actually, I was in a pharma company and was involved with people in the UK, US, France, Japan. You may guess which one it is. But there are different norms of leadership. And you may have in your mind, well, you've got your ideas of leadership, and I think you've all been involved internationally. I'd like to ask you what you see as the key differences in the norms of leadership in Greece versus perhaps the other parts of your company, and how do you adapt to that?
I can take this.
I can...
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I mean, I can try to answer this, but I'm not very familiar with the Greek environment. But from what I hear from friends and family, I think we spend, at least in the US, and I come from Silicon Valley, the Bay Area, I mean, we have a lot more on leadership. We spend a lot of time. We're spending a lot of time training our leaders to be good leaders and be good managers. And we truly try to care about the people. When I talk about diversity and inclusion, and I know everything that you hear about what's happening in the US right now, but it's in our DNA in a way to look for that diversity, to try to include everybody around the table. I know Greece is a much more homogeneous country, so I don't know how easy this is in Greece or how familiar people is with addressing that. Definitely there are cultural differences, especially in all the big companies. And yes, when you go to Japan to conduct business, you're going to have some small changes. But the common denominator is that everybody is bonded together on delivering the drugs that need to go to the patients and what needs to happen there. So I think the common vision, the common goal, if you will, help us at times overcome those cultural differences.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I'm not going to answer. There's no time. I had a brilliant story to share about Japan, but I won't. I can tell it in the break, after the break. We have one more question. Can I plead to take it? Yes. What is stopping us? Go ahead.
A short one. Okay, then. Thank you very much. What is the key leadership factor that will determine whether pharma innovation reaches patients timely and equitably? This is the question.
Wow, that's a challenging, and I'm looking for it every day. But I think that it's resilience and feistiness, if you ask me. When I speak to my people, and I speak also in the Pharma Innovation Forum, I speak in AbbVie, I'm trying to show how every decision we're making, at the end of the day, will make it or break it for a patient. And it's this focus and resilience that we need. And sometimes we fail. Sometimes it doesn't work the first time. But the next day, I need to get up and find another way to do it, and find another proposal, another model, another policy, something that will facilitate it. So we spoke a lot about resilience, but I definitely think that focus on the cause. That's why I spoke about purposeful leadership. Focus on the cause, and resilience will make it. It's not going to be easy. We're going to get better.
Thank you.
Thank you very much all for participating. I hope you found it fruitful. Let me thank, heartfelt thanks to these great ladies in the panel with me today, and to the organizers for inviting us here. So without further ado, we will close this. Please feel free to reach out. Thank you very much. Thank you all.